Hello, Orange here again. It have been a long time since last episode. So in today's today's episode, I decided to make something about people involved in the gangstalking. So I was wondering for quite a while about what could possibly trigger people to engage in such a heinous and unhuman activity, which is social harassment and bullying, targeted person, targeted individual, or whatsoever. And because I'm a quite empathetic person, I have always been. In fact, that's a partially story from my life. When I was pretty young, I was actually bullied, and it was a group of people. So I might even say, at the moment in my life, the same BS have happened again on the larger scale. And already back then, I tried to understand, beside of obvious, for me, obvious reason that triggered behavior of bullying. I was trying to understand why somebody actually engage in doing that and repeat it again and again and again and try to inflict pain or humiliation on another person, another individual. So back then, actually, I discovered how much empathy I have because I was able to put myself into the shoes of somebody who was doing that, and I tried to, let's say, simulate it in my own mind of what kind of feelings, what kind of triggers, what kind of mental processing that, let's say, bully could have in order to do what the bully is doing. But when I was surprised by gangstalking, that was for me completely another dimension of being bully, because when I was a young person, it was pretty simple explanation. Young people, especially young males, have a very low level of empathy and a lot of, let's say, wild or a lot of emotional instability. So a lot of wilderness inside of them and a lot of emotional instability as well as aggression, which is also supported by research about the most amount of criminal activity, which age group is actually prone to involve into. So there are particular young males which are becoming criminals and they're prone to break law. But when we talk about adult people who are already grown up, who have 30, 40, even sometimes when I noticed around probably 60, 70 years old, and those people are involving in bullying, in behavior which leads other person, and let's not be, let's say, untruthful about this. They really try by that activity to unalive other person and destroy life of other partitioner of society. So when we have grown up people doing this, I really started to imagine how it could be to be a gangstalker. I wouldn't perceive myself as a victim anymore, and I won't, because I just snapped out of that hypnosis they do and inflict on individuals, and I accepted the situation that already happened in my life. Well, what you can do, the milk have been splitted already. We have that kind of sentence, so you can try to clean it out and move on with your life, or try to move on with your life, of course in a limited sense due to gangstalking. Yet without acceptance, it's rather impossible to snap out of that kind of hypnosis, because I notice the mental effect on the victims is very often hypnosis combined with NLP programming and this stimulation of people, so hypersensitization and online narrative, which only amplifies the effect of gangstalking. So back to the topic. Let's try to disassemble this for a moment. Okay, I imagine I'm gangstalker, and what I do every day, and that was the moment I actually started to see how much ridiculous it is to do it. So first things first, I obsessively observe another person's life. Like, I note some informations, even such a BS like when the person have came out from the house, what type of car is driving, what kind of clothing the person wears. Okay, let's say it's for spying purposes, and that's a security agency worker would do this, detective would do this. But normal, or let's say not normal, but average member of society involving in such an activity, that sounds worrying already, right? Let's go on further. So beside of noting informations and providing those informations to other people involved in that activity, so you are already snitch, which is trying to find some information to use it against the individual. What you are doing additionally, let's say you are one which is involved in a noise campaign, and then I imagine how ridiculous it would have to be. I drive my car and I rev up engine, or drive with a damaged catalyst or muffler in order to make a bass noise around the house of the person I don't know, I hate or I targeted. Let's say I hate the person. And then day after day I do or try to do the same. Next thing, okay, let's say I sit somewhere in the car and all my activity are to do between scrolling on a phone, which is boring activity itself. I use a honk signal, and then I imagine, oh, target individual have heard that or heard that, or let's say I'm a neighbor of that person, and then I use a saw to saw something, like say to cut some metal parts and make that high noise of distress, and I do it every day. This itself would be highly exhausting for me to do, but I started to think about it, and then it came to me how ridiculous it is to do something like that. Let's go on. I drive motorcycle, and then I decide to speed up and rev my engine around the neighborhood or around the house of the person which is targeted to be harassed. Really? I don't have nothing better to do in my life than, and also to use the time on a motorcycle to on the road, then to go around some guy I want to really unalive or I hope to unalive, and I use my resources, I use my gasoline, I use my own equipment only to make such a noise, and also annoy people who don't know about the situation, or even if these people are knowing, like everybody around knows. They are all involved in this. So you are all people involved in this, if somebody watched that movie. And you are not only doing noise campaign to me, you are also doing the noise campaign to yourself. It's by proxy. So you are not only coding person to trigger, but you're also triggering people which are involved in this, which itself is also very ridiculous from my point of view. So let's move further on those stimulus. Let's say I decided to modify my car, which I have witnessed already on the road, and I actually know how it could be done. You have just to, let's say, modify a wiring in your car and install a button or let's say modified installation to have separately lights on and off. So it is doable, and this is not so hard with old cars. Actually, I think that's why very often they use older cars, because firstly, it's easier to make a kind of bass noise from the muffler in those cars, and also it's easier to modify electricity in order to have separate fog lights or headlights, so you can switch on and off whenever you like. I was even wondering to make it for fun, to play with them a bit, to do it myself, but in the end I decided, no, my time is worth something more and better things to do than put an effort to actually destroy a car in that way. So let's say I'm a gangstalker on the road and I involve myself in that kind of stimulus. And really, I receive a message and I say, oh, this guy will drive this and this road, so I have to turn my headlight off or on one of those headlights in order to exactly what? Make a signal. What in case that person doesn't give an F about your signal? Okay, and that's actually true from my side. I notice those signals, and then for me it's like, yeah, whatever. Actually, I have to admit, it's dangerous to drive like that, and it's also dangerous to make that high beam lights on the face of a target in the night, because you can also accidentally high beam other people who are driving on the road, and then you can cause serious accident to even yourself, because you cannot predict if somebody else who will be lighted like this will not lose control on the steering wheel. For me personally, it doesn't work because my eyes are perfectly used to have that kind of stimulus, and actually I'm not so afraid of it. And even in the night, if I would be really bothered by that, I can wear sunglasses. So yeah, whatever. So let's go further with their agenda and what they're doing. Okay, imagine I want to slam a door, or I want to make some noise with slamming anything. And then imagine, yeah, really, I involve myself in slamming things like every day on daily basis, let's say for 1 or 2 years of my life. Okay, let's say I do this for one target. It would be overwhelming enough for me myself to do that. And I wouldn't be imagined to be involved in doing this to many other people. Like, what is the deal with it? Nobody pays for that, and only what I got from it is a poor satisfaction of creating, I don't know, noise distress to somebody else, with hope that that person will be driven mad or crazy. Yes, I can really believe that those kind of activities works on the people who are weaker minded, or they cannot work out with their own trauma, or they never went through therapy, or have strugglings in life, or they're abusing substances. Then that kind of sensitization, I believe that could work and drive somebody crazy, and maybe in the result make somebody to snap. But personally, for me, it's half year after that kind of things have started to happen. It's not even a longer period of time, and I already started to don't give an F, really. Of course, I have those bodily sensations which are connected a little bit to stress, but thankfully to the Gangstalking playbook, I strongly recommend, by the way, to start to watch this channel, because the author there really knows what he's talking about when it comes to realness of gangstalking, and in order to decode all of the BS that is created in the internet about it. So it already doesn't work for me. Of course, this is still ongoing in my life, and sometimes it's more intense, sometimes it's less intense. And I notice that when they were able to, let's say, put me really down and really low, to the level I triggered my worst and the most autodestructive self-defenses. By the way, I learned that this might be a self-defense mechanism for mentality, which is imagination of unaliving yourself. I noticed when those things have been happening, they were, let's say, cooling down, and whenever I was growing up again and standing up again, they try to intensify this in my environment. So yeah, it is still ongoing from time to time, or on daily basis, several times per day. But okay, back to the topic. Next thing, let's say I'm Gangstalker, which is using emergency signals. Like, yeah, I sit in the car. It's not only annoying buzzing in my car, which I have to sustain and be able to comprehend with, but it's also the lights around which are confusing other drivers which might be not involved in gangstalking activity, which is itself also ridiculous. Or I'm on the road, let's say, and I'm a public service worker, police officer, emergency worker, or a firefighter, and then I use those signals. It's like, okay, wouldn't be this annoying really sit in the car which makes that noise? And I started to think about it. That would annoy me more to do this than probably person which is getting targeted. Okay, let's add up all of those stimulus are happening on a daily basis to the target itself, but those are also happening to people around, and also gangstalkers themselves. So previously, I have stated that people with narcissistic personality disorder and psychopaths are prone to take a part in it. And then I came to a conclusion that after using my empathy, I came to the conclusion that if I would have to involve myself in that, no matter if I would be, I don't know, police officer, emergency worker, normal neighbor around. Of course, those people are not really normal, but anybody involved in that beside person who is probably getting paid for it, is a really pathetic way of finding life energy. And I think for some people, especially flying monkeys, which are brainless, when it comes to following narcissists and psychopaths, I think those people are getting the most exhaustive and behavioral changing impact on themselves in their lives. So I went so far with my wondering about how it could be to be gangstalker. It's not only it came to me how ridiculous that lifestyle have to be, because I think those people have a lifestyle like this. Otherwise, how it is possible that they're getting involved in that? It came to me how ridiculous is this, and how pathetic and low level energy it is. And I really cannot imagine myself involved in this, and I started to be sorry for them. Really kind of sorry, and I pity them at the moment, because, okay, let's say you're doing this and you believe that is for good reason, and some officer or agent have told you that that person is dangerous, blah, 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 blah. And let's assume that this is part of the system, of security system, connected to the terrorist watch list, and it's an organized system to prevent crime to happen, which itself sounds so ridiculous and out of mind, because until somebody does something, you cannot, based on nothing, estimate and predict criminal activities. It all comes to the brain, which we don't have investigated enough in order to have that kind of predictions on the human behavior. But let's assume it's a part of the system, this all of the gangstalking, which from my point of view, and after my own experiences, I cannot completely diminish that idea. So, okay, you are getting involved and you think you are doing something for the better of community, of the society. Then most probably what you have achieved is you stressed yourself, you have created a vigilante kind of fanatic narrative in your head, so you actually poisoned yourself already. If you're having joy from that, that means you are sick, really sick, and you should go and look for a help. If you even are able to admit that you have sick enjoyment from suffering of other people, from harassment. And from my practice and my life experience, I know people who are prone to doing this, they never seek after help. They just don't. And that's funny to observe, because when the life goes on, their own behavioral pattern actually collapse on themselves. There are no many psychopaths and narcissists such a high successful in their life that they can, let's say, provide to themselves compensation on their own sickness. How many people who you know who are narcissistic, psychopathic, are achieving very high success in their lives, and they can say they are fulfilled, which they never are fulfilled. That's by the way. So, okay, then you have poisoned mind, and then it's highly possible, because that problem is happening for a quite long time in the worldwide. So you probably have already several people who committed suicide or became homeless or were institutionalized to the mental facilities, or maybe incarcerated by the prison system. So you can really be proud of yourself. Is it possible to, after doing that kind of things, and look in the mirror and say, yeah, I did good for a blah 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 society? I think if that would be the case, none of those people would hide with their activity. None of those people would actually act cowardly. They would be very direct in what they do. So, after my wondering, which I shared with you at the moment, my way of thinking, I really feel sorry, and that might be part of my my own incorrect worldview. But even if I think about narcissists and psychopaths, when I came to a conclusion that they are missing a big part of being involved in the world, I also, for them, I feel a little bit sorry and pity. I won't say those people are good. They're not. If we would try to show the world in the white and the black colors, those people would represent pure evilness, and there is no doubt about it. But even for them, they miss that soft feeling inside, and they miss being able to enjoy even smallest part of living. For me, it's like that. I go to the forest and I see just life, just trees, animals, insects, whatever, and I enjoy it by observing, because I feel that the world is a never-ending energy which flows from one side to another. So for me, it's a beautiful sensation, and to be cut off from that sensation would be very miserable life for me. So, what is the point of that episode? Because I decided that my channel will be supportive most of the time for targeted individuals. Think about it. Every time you are sensitized, every time you have to deal with smear campaign, every time you have to get gut, how they say it, and go out to do shopping, and you are getting mobbed, or you are receiving mobbing in the workplace, or you are driving your car and suddenly you have all of those signals around. Every time that happens to you, if you are a targeted individual, think about what I said in that episode. It's like, what kind of life those people have to have? Even if you are on the street and homeless, I know it's freaking tough situation, and I'm really sorry if that happened to you, but from distant perspective, look at this, what those people actually represent. And if there are a big group and big part of society, and you are targeted, then you can think about it. Do you really want those people to be part of your life? For me, it's like, I'm grateful now that I can say I don't belong to this society in that matter. I'm really grateful because my eyes are open now, and I realize maybe a few people which are in my environment are worth my time and effort to build a relation with. Because if somebody would ever from my environment tell me, hey man, I'm doing this and that, and you see like gangstalking, and then try to involve me in that, I would be really, let's say, drawn back off from that individual, that person, because it's a sick activity. It really no, man, my time is not worth of making other person life misery. And as I said previously, if that would be the part of the security system, that this system is corrupted, and let's say this system have predicted that person will be a killer, that person will be a murderer, or that person is a covered PDF file and will make some, for the sake of monetization, I won't say it on the channel, but you know what those people are doing, and for me it's even sick to think about it. But let's say it's about that. They predicted the worst of the worst, okay? And then I wonder, really? You don't want to leave it to the police itself? If they have a suspect like that and they make investigation on the person, you really want to be a part of the crew which is responsible of going into approximate contact with that kind of people, possibly? And even even if they really, which I believe this system doesn't, but even if that system is prediction system based on the algorithms and the computing, and all of the computers predict the behavior, which I remind you, we are human beings and we are not such a predictable beings to the level that even AI and the computers can really estimate to 100% of assurance that this and this will happen. If you will not take under consideration complete life of a person, so since birth until that moment, and you will not have all of the needed data, all of the reactions, all of the emotions, all of the behaviors which are changing, are not constant in time, then the system is such a big bias that it doesn't prove anything. And when I think about that's a company which have been this year announced and put into the let's say the spotlight, the Palantir company, which is a big data analyst. It's just a bunch of nerds which doesn't have real feelings, and maybe for highly military purposes, in order to achieve sickening goals or sickening achievements of unaliving people. Let's be honest about that. It's unaliving people. Maybe they are kinda useful for governments and the sellers of unaliving and sellers of weapons, but in other aspects of life, maybe this system can help modernize company, other company or whatever, but you will not really frame human beings in that. We are not that kind of rigid and predictable at all. That's why gangstalking program, if that program exists, or gangstalking itself, it's taking years of activity until it will be kinda successful, and in which I believe the error rate is very big. So it is only for the sake of the joy, maybe, but in the end, if you are participant of that, man, your life must be really boring and your inner must be very empty, because you cannot do anything else in your life than really gangstalk other people. And even if you have a lot of money, I imagine you're bored in your life with having your beautiful house, beautiful car, sport car, or having even family from which you probably have to hide your activity from. It's pathetic. It's really pathetic and very low. So I'm not afraid of those people no more. It's like they are fun for me, because when I look at them based on my conclusions which are coming from things they never will possess, my empathy, I realized it's so sad to be a gangstalker. It's very sad. So once again, to put this episode to an end, if you are a targeted individual and whatever is happening in your life, think about it like this. You are targeted for a reason, and even if you have given some suspicious things to the governmental program, and that program exists, still you haven't done anything. That's the first things first. And secondly, if it's about narcissistic abuse in your life, think about how beautiful you must be and how beautiful soul you must have. It's like among all of the same flowers on the field, you are the only one flower around which have brightest color, the best saturation, and the best quality to grow. And even if you're homeless, don't give up. Just don't. Because not all of the world is constructed from this BS activity. There are still good people around, and there are still people who are out to help and give you a hand and give you a chance. And some of those people who are gangstalking, they are also, that's ridiculous part, they are also helpful, because some of them are doing this from being afraid of being rejected and gangstalked themselves. But believe me, behind closed doors, they will really do things that will be supportive and helpful for you. So don't give up. Try and go further. And if you can, create a channel, spread awareness, tell the people what is going on. We need to push it into the publicity. We need to fight for realness of that, because it's not a joke anymore. And back in time, when there was a Vietnam War, people went out on the streets. People were really fighting for freedom. In Europe, it was the Iron Curtain falling down. It was the Berlin Wall, which had been destructed. And it was communism also falling down. People were fighting for freedom. And we cannot allow that modern technology and modern times will make us slaves again in the way they tried to do it previously. And gangstalking is a crime. It's against humanity, and it's just off the charts. So think about it. Human rights. And even if this is about the worst individuals to predict their crimes, they haven't done it yet. And if they are like this, the system should put them under investigation covertly, completely covertly, that they will be caught red-handed until that happen really. Because if they are so bright in predictive systems, why they have to do the overt part and harass somebody? Exactly, think about it. So that's it for today. I wish you having a good time. Stay strong, and yeah, you are smart, you are beautiful, and don't let them put you down. Cheers, guys.